thought I'd go over a few things to help optimize 3ds Max for whoever may be using it. Just some of the things that I do that make things a little bit easier. I don't know if it's going to help everybody out there or if anybody really cares, but it's a video on how to set things up. First thing to do is in Windows is to get rid of the arrow theme if you're using that. It tends to mess with the display of 3ds Max all the time. So you just do that by going here to change it to basic, which is right click, personalize, and just change this over to basic. You see that all the faded Windows styles go away, so that's good. So once that's done, you'll start up 3ds Max, and once it starts here, we can come on, there we go. One of the first things that happens when you first set up 3ds Max, you want to make sure that everything displays properly. One of the things that I normally worry about is making sure that my 3 views are gonna look right. So let me navigate to something here that will show what I'm talking about. 3 views. Just drag any old picture here. I'll open up the editor. If that did not open it, I will have to go back the other way. Alright, fine. We'll do it their way. So it doesn't really matter what it is, I just want it to show. Okay. So let me look at this here in this view. It looks good and crisp, but my old computer, that didn't really work when I was on the default render engine, which is called Nitrous. So for those of you that might be having an issue and this is looking blurry automatically, it's a two-step process basically. You're going to go into Preferences, and there's a lot of tabs here. You're going to want to go to the Viewports tab and choose Driver, and Nitrous is the default renderer, but you'd want to go to Direct3D if you're having an issue. Okay, so that'll set that up, and then you'll reset Max. I should have saved that probably. Alright, so bring it back. Okay, the second part of this is to go back in the same exact spot, back to Viewports, and then you'll want to go to Configure Driver and click on these 2 marks here. Match bitmap size as closely as possible, match bitmap size as closely as possible, and download texture size and background texture size. Okay, so that's set. You have to actually close again, set it back up. If not, you'll get very blurry images on some of the older computers. So set a plane up, go to Material Editor. By the way, this is really just to demonstrate switching that over. It's nothing to do with how to set materials or anything, so I'm not going over that. So let's pick this guy again and drag that out of there. Okay, and you can see everything's crisp and clean. So that would be setting up your render engine. Okay, so very first thing you're going to do whenever you're going to start a project is you're going to want to set up a project folder. You could just save a file and save it somewhere in a special folder or whatever, but Max has a special setup. You can find it in two places. You can go here to Manage and set a project folder, or you can go to the quick toolbar up here up top and take you to the same exact place. So let's say right here on the desktop I would like to make a new folder, and we'll name it test. Maybe we're going to make an airplane called test. Okay, so you can see still haven't saved out the project name, but we have saved a project folder. And you can see right here it's been placed on the desktop as test. So now when you go to save the project, you'll see that it automatically reverts to the project folder under test, under scenes. So this is where you would save it as some test model. And there's other benefits. If you were going to go here and add a new image and click to bitmap, you can see it's going to go to okay, it didn't actually revert like it's supposed to. It would normally. I think if I didn't select that first, that this would have worked out just great. So you can see here under the proper place, we'll find assets or something like that. I forget what it's called. What it really didn't mean for this to go this way, but nevertheless, if I wouldn't have loaded that first, it'd be looking in that folder every time. So you can save everything in this folder. If you look at the folder structure, it already has the auto backup. So any backups that are made while you're working on that particular project will go here. You would want to continue to scene assets. There we go. Under scene assets, you'd load all your images here automatically. When you went back into Max, you'd find them there. So let's say I loaded in a couple different images. So now I can click back here, go to Material Editor, and I'm not being very successful today in anything that I do. It's not reverting or doing anything like it did before I came in here. So under Scene Assets, Images, all formats will find the different GIFs that I loaded in there. Okay, so it covers project folder. It's nothing you have to do. You can do everything manually yourself, but it does help if I would have done that properly. Alright, so setting up some preferences we'll cover next. You click here on the 3ds Max icon to go to Options. And what I suggest here is under General, this usually bump scene undos to 300 for me. Maybe 200 will do for you. That's completely up to you. But I like to have about 300 undos. I can do Control Z 300 times and it'll still go back. So that's a good thing. Also, while we're in here, there's a nifty little feature under Scene Selection, and it's Auto Window Crossing by Direction. You're going to want to check that, and you do right to left or left to right for particular selections. I'll demonstrate that real quick. So let's say we have a box, and the box has several divisions. Let's turn on highlights or edge faces. Okay, then we're going to want to turn this to a poly to demonstrate it. And I'll make this the single view. Okay, so if we're going to select verts, No, sorry, edges is a better selection. You can see that if I drag from the right over to the left, anything that the window edge touches or crosses will be selected. If I drag from the left to the right, only edges that are completely encompassed by the selection. You can see that the window is being crossed here by these, but these still don't get selected. That has to do with the selection mode. It's really handy, and I use it all the time. Okay, so we'll go back here, and so that would be good for this tab. Go over here to Files, and here's where you can control incremental saves. Every time you save, it'll add a number to the file. That's just an automatic thing. You won't have to set that in each save. It'll just happen. And under your auto backup setups here, you can enable those, which are enabled by default. You can have many more files. You can do 30 backups, and you can have it back up every 2 minutes. And these backups won't affect your main file. It's not going to oversave what you're actually working on, every 2 minutes. That would be detrimental. You wouldn't want that. And you can set an auto backup file name. Auto backup seems to work fine, so I usually leave that alone. Okay, so next setup would be the viewports. I think I covered that first. I meant to change it the other way around. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so say you've got all this set up now. Now I want to set up all my viewports as quickly as possible so that everything is rendering out as the view down here is doing. So one quick way to do that is click on the plus sign on any one of the windows and configure viewports. Okay, and smoothen highlights with edged faces for all viewports. And when you click OK, that'll happen for you. So another thing I like to do is I like to get rid of the grid on all but the perspective. And the other thing that happens is you'll get these brackets on the corners of everything that you make, and it's kind of annoying to me. So if you don't like those either, like I don't, you just hit J per viewport, like so, and now things won't be bracketed. You should be able to tell what's going on easily just by how it lights up. It lights up pretty easy. Okay, so another thing you can do here is go back to the same configure viewports and go up to statistics. For most of us, for real flight, it really matters to find out triangle count. So this is where we can set that up real nice and easy. One of the two ways. You want triangle count. You don't really need a vertex count or frames per second. And I usually go with total plus selection. And I like to show the statistics in the active view. Click OK, and you'll see that this active view, okay, it's going to be in this view only, but that's fine. It will show how many faces total, or how many tries total are in the selected object, and in the scene and in the selected object. So you got 1,432 for both boxes, 716 per box. So that is very handy. Okay, so most of us aren't going to use the animation bar here at the bottom. So quick way to do that is to go up to under Customize and Show UI and get rid of this track bar, and that gives you a little more real estate. Another way to gain a little bit of real estate for people who are maybe working with 2 monitors is to, first off, you can extend your menu out here and you can get everything to display at once. So let's go out 4 and they should all snap. Nope, they didn't do that. But anyways, you extend the bar out, and if you grab here in this empty area, you can drag this free and it becomes a floater. You know, I have a second monitor, you can't really tell, but I'm moving these off onto that second monitor, and now I've got quite a bit more real estate, and I can always go over to my next monitor here and grab the tools, and that way I can extend that out as big as I want. It can take up a whole monitor. I can have each box stretched out for me to see. So that is handy. Okay, so to bring that back, bring it back here in the view, right click up here and say dock. You can dock to the left or the right, and I usually dock to the right just like you'd seen before. And just grabbing this border allows me to shrink. Okay, so so you notice that there is a dark theme to the 3ds Max for the newer versions. If you like the lighter version, if that's something that you're into, you can go to the Custom UI and Default Switcher, and you can switch to the AME light, and just by clicking Set, you'll go to the light setup that maybe you're familiar with from a long time ago. I myself like the dark theme. Okay, thought I'd just show that one real quick. Another common thing to do would be to be able to change the units of measure. By default, those units are generic units, where a unit equals an inch actually. But you may want to go to feet if you're, maybe doing a custom blade or propeller. You need to know exactly what 1 foot is for that to actually work, so you'd want to be able to change that to feet. Here you can change your units to US standard, and you get some options within that. Usually feet with fractional inches is best. You could go to decimal inches, but most people understand this best. You can go to metric. You can do a custom, where a unit equals whatever you'd like it to. But generic is going to be a 1 unit equals 1 inch. Okay, another thing that I like to do is I like to have snaps set up. So if you right click up here and then empty space on the bar, you'll see it says snaps right here, and snaps will open up as a floater. You can have it just float around the screen and have to move it out of your way all the time, or you can just drag it up and dock it here at the toolbar with everything else. One of the handy things about that would be, say I would like to connect this point. I'd like this point to be the same exact spot as the point here in this box. These are all the different types of snaps that you want. I would like, for that instance, I'd like to use the vertex snap. And you can see that if I go to move that, nothing happens. It's as if snaps isn't working. It's because you need to enable any of these snaps that are selected. You need to enable them with the snaps toggle, which is by default up there on the toolbar. So now with that enabled, you can grab the vert, you can drag it over here, and you'll see it'll snap right to that vert. you may want to go to snap the edge, snap edges. So we'll grab this edge and snap this edge to this edge. And you can see that doesn't quite work exactly right. You may want to snap that to the midpoint of an edge. Okay, so that snaps. I mean, I didn't mean to cover too much of that. I really wanted to show how it's handy to have the snaps dialog out and ready to go. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to cover is setting up quick modifiers. If you know anything about this stuff, you'll see that you can modify this box, for instance, by maybe you pick this FFD modifier. Let's go back. Deselect that. So let's make this window the main window. And okay, so I have this FFD modifier. I have a lot of segments here. I grab the control points and I can scale, and it will do that over the entire model, the entire shape at least. And that would be hard to do any other way. That's a real handy one. So I have quite a few things here in this modifier list that I normally would use. So a nice way to go about that is to configure modifier sets and go to configure modifier set and just start going through this list and figure out what you use the most. So I use edit poly. I'll snap that onto that. I do that all the time to completely convert an object to an editable poly. Symmetry is another that I use all the time. If I go too quick, I'm not going to find it. Symmetry. I'll grab that onto the second button here. The unwrap modifier is very handy. It may take a minute to get this done, but there's the unwrap UVW. Pop that into place. I like to use shell, like for a canopy top or something like that, where I'm going to do an interior. I need to have thickness to the actual part, so I would like to shell that. Spherify is another one I use. Let me find that. Spherify, where are you? If you see it, just go ahead and yell. Oh wait, you can't tell me. There's Spherify. Spherify will take a selection of vertices and when you click Spherify, it will try to make them perfectly round within that plane. Then the last thing is I like to use FFD modifiers, so I'm going to actually pull out all of these modifiers. There we go. And I'll call these quick set. And I'll click OK, and I've saved a new set. Now I click on this button again, and you can see quick set was added. So I'll show buttons, and here we go. So now if I want to add that same FFD box, I can click here and it's nice and quick and it's been added to the modifier stack. So that covers some beginner stuff. I plan on doing more of these. If anybody comes up with anything in particular they'd like to know about, let me know. I can try to cover it in future videos. Thanks.